right, good afternoon, everybody. It's good to see everybody back. Hope you all had a good lunch, good networking session. Just wanted to give you kind of an overview of what we're going to be doing this afternoon. We've got several keynote speakers who are going to be on the center stage this afternoon. We're also going to be tackling the industrial internet as a topic a little bit later on in the afternoon. And then to wrap things up, around 3:30 today, we're going to be having the UK-Germany Technology Summit right here. So there's a couple of things that are coming up on the agenda this afternoon. Our next speaker says that today's entrepreneurs need to come up with a viable roadmap which makes use of digital innovations and enables them to get a jump on the competition. And he says we are about to see a major change in the way that products are sold and the way that they're networked via the internet. This is an exciting presentation, and it's one that he just presented to the German Chancellor. So please help me welcome the Senior Managing Director for Germany with Accenture, Mr. Frank Riebensperger. Have fun.
Good afternoon, everybody. Great to be here, and I would like to take you on an exciting journey. Actually, through internet-based services for enterprises as well, industrial companies. Let me see if the clicker works. Maybe I need some help here. Here we go. You know, if things will happen, and actually the enabling technology is very young. If you look at, each of you has such a mobile device in his pocket, I believe. If you look what happened actually until this mobile device emerged, there was a lot of industry convergence happening. The telco industry, the media industry, the music industry, the maps industry, the encyclopedia industry, all that now available to the consumer on a small device. Well, the journey is not over. It's actually about to start for the big companies and the big companies in this country. If there's somebody, here we go. And if you look what's happening with this industry convergence, actually the business models are changing. Is there somebody from the technology here, because this clicker really doesn't work very well, or maybe it's a little bit slow? That would be great. If you look what happened to the book and movie industry, completely changed over the last 10 years. If you look technology needs to work when you want to put your business model on top of it. Oh, a new one. Appreciate that one. Is this better? Oh, here we go. If you look the way how we order taxis or services, Call a Taxi is a new app on the internet which basically eliminates the taxi dispatching operators completely out of the business model, only in the market for 2 or 3 years. If you look at, here we go. If you look what's happening in the financial industries, you know, new forms of lending clubs emerging, which basically will disrupt the financial services industry. And if you look what's happening in the medicine, now it's working faster, cool. What's happening in the medicine, we are going on to basically an internet-based service models for diagnosis. All that only emerged basically based on the new technologies in the last 5 years. Now, are we done? No, we are not done. Just looking at the pure volumes is quite impressive. You know, in 1995, there were 5.7 billion people on Earth, 0.7% connected. Not a whole lot. 2005, 10 years later, roughly a billion more, 15% connected. And now, 2015, 7 billion people, 75% connected. That is next year. That means massive change. And we're talking probably about 10 billion or more devices connected to the internet. And these devices will not be smartphones or laptops. These devices will be everyday products, like your toothbrush, like your car, like your medical devices, or like this little jawbone device which I have now, which helps me to monitor my own fitness connected to the internet, 10 billion. Once you have this connection, new stuff will happen. And I make a small reference to the mobile world in Barcelona. And what we do as Accenture as well, we help conferences. We do that at the World Economic Forum. We do basically analyze the tweets. And the Internet of Things, basically, was the one thing which was tweeted the most in the mobile world in Barcelona. And while we're talking about the Internet of Things for many, many years, it's about to happen now. And I will give you some insights, and actually I think, Sigrid, you have the report with you. She's my program manager. I'll give you some insights and just hold it up. This morning we published actually a report. We created that report with 150 companies, research institutions, and many other participants, thinking or rethinking actually the future of the German industrial base, taking advantage of such models. And this is the second report. The first one was about, how will smart sensors change the way manufacturing is organized in the factory? But probably the more interesting thing is, what happens if the intelligent product leaves the factory? What does it mean for the business models of the big industries or industrial base industries in Germany and around the world? And let's take a few looks at some of the selected industries. Oh, this is really, here we go. And what we started to think, will it be the usual suspects? No, it will not. We believe actually every sector will be affected. And I would like to start with a car. I'd like to give you an overview. The sector change, and that has to do a lot with industry convergence. The convergence of telecom, the convergence of IT technology with traditional industry players. That change is running at different speeds. We have seen radical change in media and telco. We see, if you think about Amazon and the business models, how logistics, IT, and internet presence changed the retail space. Each of us, every one of us, is using that today. But now the next industries are coming online. The mobility industry, health, machinery, and actually the energy industry. And what does it mean for these industries? We believe, based on our research, it actually will be frame-breaking. Let's take the automotive industry. We talk about Industry 4.0. 2.0 was you use basically an engineered assembly line to produce a car. This is the VW Käfer 1938. It had SIP, zero IT in it, nothing. Until 2003 produced, very recently. This is a new Beetle. It has a lot of IT in it already. It was released in 1997, but it was a very autistic car. The IT was confined to operate the car within the car. It was a smart product, but the product didn't communicate at all. If you look at the latest Beetle, it is basically an e-car. It's the e-Beetle. It's connected to the internet. Probably it will live and can only be operated when connected to the internet in the proper way. Why do I say that? Well, the car can be operated standalone, but think about what's going to happen next. We're going to see smart services, basically, which connect to the smart products, which will start operating the device. And each of the large OEMs are working on that. Look at BMW with Drive Now or Park Now initiatives. Initiatives which, if your car is connected to the net, BMW offers basically to find you the parking spot or park the car for you. The next generation of car will park itself. Take a look at Daimler with Car2Go. That is basically a business model where the cars are put on the street and you can register yourself as a user, and you can, using your iPhone, find the next car, unlock the car, drive it, drop it off where your destiny is, and the next user will find it there. Doesn't sound that innovative. Actually it is, because the first time in this particular space, Daimler needs to know their customers. They need to understand actually who are the users. Are they authorized to drive? How they're organizing insurance. And if you think about it, it's a radical change, because suddenly you are moving on your business model from manufacturing goods, manufacturing cars, to basically selling cars as a service. You don't sell the car anymore, but you sell the service based on customer intimacy. And that is actually a radical change in the business model. The other thing to think through, this business model can be operated by everyone. So is it conceivable that in large cities, if the OEMs don't operate that model, that other people will do it and basically know more about how their products are used than the OEMs themselves? And this is a big question we actually are thinking through right now. Are the business models of the large OEM manufacturers at risk because there could be an intermediary which takes a product, packages it with other services like insurance and cleaning and gas refueling and sells the product as a service, pushing back the OEM from being a prime leader in a sector to a mere supplier? That is actually a real concern. And you know, if all the products are connected to the internet, let's think about new control points, which will be very essential. I talked about the e-Beetle, which is an electrical car. It needs to find basically a power supply station. Now, the city of Singapore has implemented basically a guiding system for the cars to be routed to the next loading station, electricity loading stations. Think about that. So what happens if you want to be a loading station supplier but you don't get listed? You're out of business. What happens if you basically start telling these cars, you know, get a better preferred service on the loading station? You introduced a differentiation. So what we'll see is actually these smart business models will provide an additional point of differentiation which is not available to the product manufacturer or the product operator. And this will happen very, very soon. And Singapore is basically a technology-friendly city and state. They are contemplating, they're piloting, thinking through new business models, and I predict we will see that in many products around the world. New control points for services based on the availability on how the product is connected to the internet and how the product is guided and routed. You know, autonomous driving is a huge thing. Google is a leader in there. We saw it yesterday. If you ask me, the car we saw yesterday on stage in the opening session looked like a very traditional car. You know, if you think through what is the ultimate vision of autonomous driving, the ultimate vision is that you don't drive, that the car is operated by itself. What does that mean? That means as a driver you can consume entertainment, you can consume video streaming, you can do other stuff. You are available as a customer for other services and for other revenues to other people. So the ultimate vision of autonomous driving is not that the car drives itself for short distances. The ultimate vision is that you don't need to look at the road when the car drives itself. And if you're really freaky about it, that can be only achieved if you forbid self-driven drivers, because they could be too dangerous for all the other guys. So there's a study out in California which says self-engaged driving will be forbidden in 2035, and basically all the cars in certain confined areas need to participate in autonomous driving to ensure security and to unlock basically commuting times of an hour or two each way for new models of consumers. If you think about it, who will control that business model? Will it be the OEMs? Or will it be entertainment and other intermediaries like Google unleashing new sources of revenues, basically where they have the undivided attention of the consumer? Think about these business models which will come up. And that's why Google is doing autonomous driving, not because they are interested in the car which drives itself. They're interested in the consumer who can spend more money when he's not basically driving the car, but needs to be in the car and can do other stuff. Let's take a look at the other industries. Machinery. You know, we see that, and I come to some more traditional German industries now. Look at machinery. Liebherr basically equipped each of their devices with a sensor which is on the internet, which controls product status, operations, preemptive maintenance, utilization times, you know. But think about it. Could there be a knowledge database which to say, this is the way you operate the product most efficiently? Is it conceivable that once you know how to operate the product more efficiently, you not only sell the product, but you as well sell the driver to the product, which gets a 20 or 30% better yield out of the product? or you sell the training how to operate the product. So a new set of new business models. Once equipment manufacturers will start thinking through how their products are used in operations, and once they will start comparing notes around 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 20,000 products which are being operated, clearly, there will be an emergence of best practices, and the guys who do that analysis will not give it away for free. They will rethink how can they package the product and sell the best practices around a service packaging, a service wrapper, with the product itself. Huge opportunity for the guys who do that. The guys who don't do that will lose out, because possibly this device will by definition have a 20% or 30% better yield compared to the competitive product, because the usage instructions, while being used, are available, for example, through Google Glasses or other devices. Go on to the next one, energy. We're doing the energy transformation. Some call Germany very crazy to do that, shutting down the nuclear power plants and going green. I tell you, it's very costly, because we as consumers pay for that. On the flip side, it's a huge use of technology. If you look what's going on the technology side, basically with millions of distributed producers, the solar panels, the windmills, the traditional power plants on the one side, and then millions of smart meters which basically consume the energy, all that is IT technology. And we predict actually the next generation of utility companies will be software companies. The only way actually how to manage such very complicated grids. And if you look what's going on, Siemens and RWE are basically offering now a new service, a software-defined service, to configure virtual power plants depending on how many solar roofs are up, how many wind fields are up, how many traditional plants are up on the one side, and how many smart meters are consuming. And all these devices can register dynamically in and out into the virtual power plant. And if you look, whoever manages this technology first will have a competitive edge, basically operating hybrid power plants and virtual power plants around the world. So while the energy transformation is very costly for Germany, we put a lot of money into the IT capabilities to exactly manage such complex networks. We as Accenture have founded, this is interesting. Maybe I have to step back. We at Accenture have founded actually a joint venture with Siemens called Omnetric. And what we do is actually we do operate smart grid networks in the field. And in that way, Siemens is basically the best manufacturer of smart meters in the world. We have a lot of knowledge on how to operate smart services and how to deal with software technology. We're putting that together, another firm of industry convergence, and basically offering, not selling the product, we're offering basically operating the product, which is installed by Siemens, in the field, and the customers are the utility companies. So another one, health, which will be mainly and majorly transformed actually by smart products out in the field. I talked about the wearables. And the big thing is, we call it Dr. Ich, it's a Dr. Me. I wear this jawbone, there are devices, you see that nice lady, which is measuring the pulse, measuring the heartbeat, the shoes talking to you. That is a kind of interesting stuff. It becomes more serious if you look at real disease analysis. There's an innovation out there, it's called Sleep Mask, which really basically analyzes your sleep along a lot of parameters and is actually used to detect sicknesses which can be found in your sleep patterns. A new startup just emerged, it's a Polish one, and the next one, if you look at Google, their contact lens which can recognize diabetes. So a complete new form, basically, through intelligent products to analyze diseases and basically to cure diseases. And we see actually a very interesting development which will be very beneficial for the patients. This is a startup, a reading class. Actually, the lady reading this paper is blind. And this little camera allows the lady to read the paper. The camera is basically a talking camera. It allows the patients to walk in the street. That camera recognizes bus stops, street signs, recognizes is a traffic light, is green or red, and a lot of other stuff. So we will see a completely connected physical world, which again will be the basis for new business models in this particular sector. And if you look what it means for the companies, and there's one great German example, Fresenius. If you look what this company has done, it's actually, by the way, it's the fastest growing German DAX company in the health sector. They started out to be a manufacturer, a device manufacturer for blood cleaning in kidney failure situations. And basically, they found out by monitoring how blood was cleaned in the kidney disease treatment, that if you clean the blood in a certain way, which has to do with trucks and a certain way of applying the device, their patients would live 5 years longer. So they didn't tell the market what the trick is. They basically decided we're not going to sell our products anymore. They decided to say we offer now blood treatment as a service. We're not selling the machines, but we are opening our own hospitals, our own clinics, and basically we take a markup because our patients live longer. The fastest complete transformation of the business model from a product manufacturer to a service company, fastest growing DAX company, top 30 company in Germany, 40% market share in the US, and now they're going to Asia. It shows you a very good example. It shows you when you start understanding how your internet-connected products are used in a daily basis, how radical your business model can change, and this is one of the shining examples actually from this particular location. So what? Let me come back to this particular report, which we, as I said, we published today, and we are actually want to influence the digital agenda of Germany. We called it Smart Service Welt. Welt because it's German, smart because we want to offer services, German-based services around the German products, not in Germany, but around the Welt, around the world. And what is it we see there? We see actually intelligent products connected to the internet everywhere. We see basically the convergence of almost every industry where software becomes very, very important, maybe leading. If you look at the X-ray machine today, an X-ray machine today has more than 50% of the cost is in the software. It's basically a hole with metal around it. It has some magnets, and the rest is software in an X-ray machine. You know, having software capabilities is more important than having the machinery capabilities. And if all these X-ray machines are connected to the internet, and if you start taking pictures from 2,000 or 3,000 machines around the world, think about a service button where the radiologist presses the button, that machine, what do you think about the picture I've taken? And the machine comes back and says, I have 100 million pictures on my store. I think this is this disease, as a second opinion. Think about the machine operator, which offers this service first, will put everybody else out of business. So the understanding on how the product is used, the data is collected, the data is analyzed, and you can apply this example to medicine, you can apply it to cars, you can apply it to caterpillars or everything else. If the knowledge about the usage of the product becomes more important than the product itself, you know, we will see a tipping point in basically the way companies are organized and the way alliances are formed. And we'll see a tipping point from selling the product to selling the product packaged into the service. And this will happen in the next 5 years. The speed will be enormous. And we have asked the question, you know, what does it mean actually for the big companies in this country? And we predict that there will be a new technology stack emerging, which will differentiate the winners from the losers. Today, you know, we have the technology infrastructure, we have the broadband, but, you know, having broader broadbands will not make you more competitive. It's basically like having streets. It's goodness, but it doesn't help you to win the competition. We have network physical platforms. These are the smart products. Having a car which is connected to the internet is no good to the OEM. But think about it, if you have Volkswagen, what uses 10 million cars everywhere, every year, and they operate everywhere. Think about 10 million cars connected to a software-defined platform operated by Volkswagen. Think about that. Every year, 10 million sold cars. Think about Volkswagen would have a software-defined platform where the cars in use register to, process events, you understand how the car is used as an equipment manufacturer, and then you basically open it up for an ecosystem of smart services. We heard the parking services, we heard the cleaning, we can think about cleaning services, refuel services, we can think about preemptive maintenance service, and God knows what. But whoever owns these software-defined platforms, and they don't exist today, this is a big revolution in software technology coming out. Whoever owns the software-defined platforms will be the winner, the digital winner of tomorrow. So our recommendation to the Chancellor was Germany basically as a software area, as a software country, has to engage and build a few world-leading companies around these software-defined platforms. And everybody's in the gate. We predict, we analyze the other countries. We predict the US will play, we predict China will play. We haven't seen the Koreans and the Japanese countries as engaged actually in getting their thinking into what does it mean and to the change of the business models. As I said, China is very active, US is very active, and Germany actually embedded into a single European market, because Germany without Europe will not be successful. But Germany with Europe, we heard yesterday David Cameron extending his invitation to collaborate in the space. This could be the comeback of the European software industry. So to close it out, we will never be alone. But once you have such software-defined platforms, that will lead to new consumer devices. Google Glass is there, maybe there will be others, which will make these services available to the consumers like a wearable at every day, every minute, every point of time in his life. And that is a digital future. We need to be very responsible about the data, but it's a great future, and it's a future where actually the Europeans can have a phenomenal comeback because we own the products, we understand how to do smart products, we just have to extend now and go on the journey to build software-defined platforms to have them on the internet. Thank you.
Mr. Riemensperger, I think we've got time for one question. Is there anyone in the audience who wants to throw a question at Mr. Riemensperger before we say goodbye? I know we had a couple that were tweeted. Anyone out here before we go to the Twitter wall? I know a lot of people wanted to know, what did the Chancellor say this morning when you presented this report?
Actually, she was very excited because she says, if our products become smart and connected to the internet, and if someone starts to collect the data which is generated when the products are used, that is additional value. And the race is open, who's going to grab that value? And she's encouraging the German academia and the German companies basically to collaborate in industry convergent alliances to start building the software-defined platform. So she encouraged us said, now you have the vision, go deliver the vision.
Last year, we were talking about big data, and the prediction came that this year the topic would be big data. Do you want to make a prediction now about what we'll be talking about next year? Do you think it'll be the Internet of Things, or?
I would say the business value of big data. Now everybody talks about big data. What do we do with it? Mm-hmm. Now we need to get to the bottom. We need to get to the business.
Okay.
And I think that is the next big thing.
All right. Very good. Mr. Riemensperger, thank you very much. Thank
you.
Thank you. Give him a hand.